SBR Videos is sponsored by Sports Cash System. Click on the link below for more information. Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's a Friday afternoon, so we're going to do our weekly line moves update show with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. And Joe Duffy also covers every Thursday night game with us, and he nailed it again this week. He nailed the over in the Jacksonville-Houston game, which brings him to an amazing 24-11 against the spread in his free picks with us in the NFL all year long. Joe, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you, Peter, and luckily that also happened to have been a premium play part of a 3-1 football night.
All right, there you go. I'm sure everyone's familiar with you right now, but in case anyone's watching this who isn't, brag a little bit about your record at OffshoreInsiders.com this year.
Right. Well, we go back 26 years, so people have been gambling a long time. Hopefully do know who I am, but we're having a fantastic year with plays, both wise guy plays and overall. Finally picking it up in basketball. Joe Duffy's picks at OffshoreInsiders.com.
Okay, sounds great. All right, there's four games this week that have had somewhat significant line moves on the spreads that I want to get your take on. The first one, the most interesting one, I think, is the Carolina-New Orleans game, right? I mean, Carolina's won a bunch of games in a row. New Orleans in the Dome. The public loves to bet them. They usually are a good bet in the Dome. And everyone's been sort of talking about how, they want to bet the Saints here. But the Carolina line has actually been going significantly down. It was +4 earlier in the week. Then it went to 3.5. Then it went to 3. Now it's all the way down to 3 and juiced towards Carolina. Now it's +3 -111 at Pinnacle and +3 -115 at Bookmakers. So that's a pretty significant move all the way down from +4, right?
It is. I think one of the reasons, in addition to the fact that Carolina is red hot, but like you said, conversely, New Orleans has as compelling of splits as anybody in the league where they're so dominant at home. But Carolina's injury report looks good. Every single player who was at least questionable or possibly doubtful earlier in the week will probably play. So Carolina's injury report did look very good, and I think that is a big part of the reason.
Is it? I mean, don't you feel like, unless it's like a major player like Aaron Rodgers, that in general line moves come on news that someone's going to be out as opposed to a bunch of people all being in?
Yeah, but as far as the sharp money, they want to make sure that if everybody who was questionable is now upgraded to probable, that will definitely affect the sharp money. But I agree. I think we talked about it in our opening video. Both Carolina and New Orleans, especially the Saints at home, are two teams that the public would like to bet on. Right. So neither one of these teams are bet against teams. So that, it'd be quite interesting as to where that line would go. But they're going with the sizzling hot underdog. All
right, well, that is one of the games that I'm specifically have on the slate to ask Brent about. So we'll see what the action is on that one that he can tell us about. Then another one kind of interesting, right? The Jets have gone solidly on to -3 now, up from -2.5 earlier in the week. So someone's been betting that, either the sharps or the public. Something has driven the Jets. I mean, now their line for this week is equal to their average point total in the past 2 weeks. Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, but this is a case where, first of all, that Oakland is a West Coast team. They're going to be traveling across the country. Although there's not as much of a chance right now of snow as there are in some of the other northeastern cities, Oakland's going to be traveling to very cold conditions. I know there's a small chance of some precipitation when we file this. Plus, the Jets are another one where it came in where there's not necessarily any big-name players, but the Jets injury report basically says that they are going to be as healthy as expected as far as any guys who earlier in the week were listed as questionable or doubtful. So the injury report did well there. Plus, it's going to be home field conditions. It's going to be very cold, and I believe there's still some chance of precipitation.
So you think that move was driven by sharp action? Because it's a little hard for me to believe that there was overwhelming public action enough to drive this line onto 3.
Yeah, no, the Jets aren't a team that the public is going to like. That is true. Now, I would say the sharp action based in part that the Jets are going to be pretty healthy.
All right, and then a similar game with a similar line. San Diego is now bounced up to a -3.5 from -3, and in the places where they are still -3, it's -120 or -125, and that was a line that was solidly, -3, -110 earlier in the week. What do you make of that move?
Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul, one of the few defensive players who is going to affect the line, and he was announced early, right around noon, I guess, Eastern time, Friday afternoon, it was announced that he's going to be out. So I think that has a lot to do with JPP not playing.
Okay. All right. And then the only other game that I wanted to get your take on is Cincinnati. They opened earlier in the week. They were like 5.5, which some people consider to be a little bit of a big line. But it's moved up to -6.5 now.
Yeah, and this is another case where snow, sleet, in fact, As of Friday, they're saying there is a 100% chance of precipitation here. So that would be a great example where the public's going to say, this is Cincinnati weather. It's certainly not the weather for a team built for the Dome. So I think that has a lot to do with the weather report.
And you think that's legitimate analysis? I mean, these are still NFL players. You know, they're professional athletes who should be able to play reasonably well in all conditions, and that's a big line. You know, 5.5, 6 points. That's a big line, especially considering you got Andy Dalton at quarterback.
Yeah, no, we would agree there. It's not necessarily a sharp move. I do think when the public sees that there is going to be very bad conditions, they're generally going to go with the home team, especially if they're playing a team that's not very used to playing outdoors and in cold weather. But you're right, Andy Dalton is a quarterback. He's one of those, as we like to say, predictably unpredictable. I don't like to lay a lot of points with him, but the Colts clearly are struggling without Reggie Wayne, and maybe the fact that they've pretty much conceded that Richardson is not the answer at running back, that probably has a little bit to do with it as well.
Okay. All right, well, those are the only lines that I wanted to specifically ask you about so far this week. Are there any other lines that you think are interesting right now or that might move significantly by kickoff?
Yeah, I do think, as I said, once it gets closer to kickoff, if the weather reports are accurate, there's little doubt in my mind that the public is going to be fading those Dome teams playing in nasty weather outdoor. Now, one of those teams, of course, would be Atlanta, and they're playing Green Bay where the whole Aaron Rodgers is out, so that might neutralize it there. But Detroit is going to be playing at Philadelphia. That's expected to be snowy as well. And Minnesota, another Dome team, is playing at Baltimore, although Elvis Dumervil is likely out for Baltimore. Another one of those defensive players who can affect the line. Actually, he's listed as very questionable. He's not officially out, but I do think that a lot of the Northeastern teams, the money's going to come in on them and the unders. But here's the key thing. None of the places where there's a good possibility of cold weather and snow are high winds expected. So remember our rule. If the line drops, unless the forecast for the winds change, but if these totals drop, we're most likely going to be betting the over.
All right, great insights. As always, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much. Congratulations again on your great record. Another winner on Thursday. We'll talk to you on Monday.
All righty, Peter. Thank you.